Welcome to Adult Education and Family Literacy Week and the Command Center, hosted by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. We are grateful to be back here today at the Command Center, hosted by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, and super excited about all of the guests we've had. We are about to bring on another super guest, and we just have rock stars in the house today. So I want to welcome our good friend from World Education Services, Global Talent. And Debra, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me here, Jeffrey. I hope that you can hear me okay.
We can. I think I left the room for a minute, and I think I pulled all of my wires out of our computer. We are back. Yes, those little problems. That's what makes life fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for being here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, first tell us about yourself and the work you do, and then we'd love to learn a lot more about World Education Services.
Absolutely. So let me just start by saying that I'm so happy to be here in support of Adult Education and Family Literacy Week this year. And so I'm really here on behalf of the organization that I work at that's called World Education Services, commonly referred to as WES, WES for short. It's a nonprofit social enterprise where we have a work and mission that's focused on helping international students, immigrants, and refugees to achieve their educational and career goals in the United States. Through the Global Talent Bridge program that I specifically work under, my role really supports the inclusion of immigrants and refugees with international education so that they can fully utilize their education and experience here in the US. We partner with and work very closely with many adult education program providers across the nation. And as you know, I mean, I love it. I saw in one of the slides that COABE put up for this week, adult education is an economic catalyst. So the connection with my work and adult education is really on ensuring two things. The first one being that immigrants and refugees are more fully aware and that they have access to adult education programming that's most appropriate for supporting their economic needs. And I work to ensure that through the development of targeted resources and content, they can do that. And then the second is really just doing my part to create resources and build connections and programming that's relevant for adult educators so that they're also more aware of how to support the needs of the international educated immigrant population.
I love it. I love it. So tell me something. I love, you go get right into the meat of it.
I got right into it.
You just jump right in the pool. But I'm curious. Tell me a little about what gets you most excited about what you see today in the field.
Absolutely. It's a great question because, honestly, and maybe others will co-sign and agree to this, but it's the impact, honestly, that's created. It's the ability to hear firsthand about the individual successes that are achieved because of adult education programming. I think about the nurse from Colombia that received contextualized ELL programming so that she could sit the nursing exam in her state of residence, and so that she could go on to work as a registered nurse here in the United States. I also think about the internationally educated teacher from Burkina Faso who stepped foot into an adult education class and with the right guidance and information is now on the path to becoming a licensed teacher again. When you know that the outcome of someone's life has been changed as a result of programming, and in this case, adult education programming, it's kind of hard not to get excited by it.
Yeah, so you're so right. And we see it all the time, especially because we see it with our students. But here's what we don't see. We don't see the 5-year-old who now goes to school after mom and dad got their high school equivalency and they get a good job and they go to school with a new jacket or nice sneakers or they're proud of mom and dad at parent teacher conference. And, it's so generational. And the change that's going to happen when you help an adult learner is unbelievable. And I think something we don't give enough credence or credit to along the way, which is something that I'm hoping will eventually change with things like adult education and family literacy week as we promote it. I'm curious a little bit too about what your organization might be hoping to achieve during this week in particular.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I have to say that I couldn't agree more with the statement that you referenced. I mean, we know in our work that, they're individuals that are capable of being able to reclaim their professional past with the right intervention, with the right support, so that it changes their economic trajectory and that of their family and their communities. One thing that we're really hoping for this week is an increased awareness about the value and the impact of adult education programming. And we're really excited because, we have opportunity in which, what we seek to achieve and what we want to achieve because of the work of COABE and member organizations, and because of the advocacy and the policy work that we do. We're also excited this week because we have federal legislation that's actually on the floor of Congress and scheduled for a vote today. And our hope is that the vote comes down to a yes, but we certainly want to try to encourage adult educators and adult learners that are there to support the legislation, which is called the Bridging the Gap for New Americans Act, by contacting their U.S. reps to vote in favor of the bill.
So that's worthy of another shout out. Britt, give it to us again. What's the name of the legislation that's up today?
Absolutely. It's the Bridging the Gap for New Americans Act. And we really are excited. We found out not just a few hours ago that it's on the floor. It's actually going to be put to a vote today. So hopefully today, worst case, I think tomorrow, but certainly, it's imperative that we sort of look at opportunities like this legislation to be able to really do the study that's necessary to ensure that the economic contributions of those that have international education is able to occur here in the United States.
I love it. I love it. So if you're at home right now and you're near a computer, I want you to go on the computer and just pull up your legislator's email and just shoot them an email and say, hey, this is coming up today. Make sure you put your vote in. And super, super important that, those things that legislators need to know. And one of the things I think is a little challenging in this space is that there are great pieces of legislation like that we don't often just go all out and make sure that our ground support, like all the people that this has an impact on, really raise their voice. And trust me, our legislators are really attuned to how they got into that office. They got there because of their constituents. So we need to be the voice. We need to get out there, and we need to go out and let them know what we're thinking. And when there is a great piece of legislation, or there is something that's important for you, especially when it comes to something so important as adult education, you need to go out there and reach out and give them a call and say, hey, I want you to support this bill. We make sure we get some more funding for that. What's the call out to adult learners and adult educators during Adult Education Week, and what are the things that you'd like them to know?
Sure. I think, the real call out for us is just that there are resources that are available to be able to support adult learners in understanding the programs and services that are available to support their full inclusion across the country. We know that there are some states that are really ensuring that their adult educators, as well as the program administrators, that they have the right pieces of information to provide those direct supports and right services for individuals, making sure that they're asking the right questions, in any sort of an intake or a first orientation to the class that individuals are attending, to make sure that they're ascertaining whether or not these are individuals for which there might also be a pathway that works for them to be able to connect more closely with what they did in the past. So certainly, I think it really comes down to, we understand the value and the impact of adult education programming, and we want to make sure that there's full awareness for everybody that can be a direct beneficiary of that.
That's super. Just great piece of advice. Really super great piece. If people wanted to learn more about World Education Services and the work you guys are doing, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. So we do have a website. So I certainly can plug it here. wesforsam.org is a perfect place to be able to go and to learn a little bit more about the services that are provided. If you are, in fact, an adult learner that was educated outside of the United States and you're wanting to be able to gain access into a program, you're wanting to pursue career pathway options, then certainly we encourage you to take a look at some of the free resources that we have available available that can best support you in understanding what the right next step is to take, as well as in understanding that the education that you have gained overseas does have value, and it can help you if there's a certain program or course that you want to get access to, and you want to be able to demonstrate that you do have a minimum level of competence in that area. So certainly that website is fantastic. And if you're a program provider, then I would definitely say that, one of the things that's really helpful for folks that are practitioners or administrators is to go also to the WES.org website, and under the Global Talent Bridge program, you'll see that we work closely with institutional partners across the country. We're in the 5th year of launching our Skilled Immigrant Integration Program. And that's a model we commonly refer to as SIP. And the program offers communities the opportunity to leverage technical assistance from West Global Talent Bridge and some of our national partners. One of which I think I heard just on the last interview, Anson Green, certainly helping us in providing some technical assistance for some of the employment-focused activities that communities are looking at. But we also are working with communities that want to be able to also support the development and the expansion of contextualized digital literacy programs. Texas is a state that's coming to mind. I know they're doing a lot of work there in conjunction with World Education Services. And I think the last thing that I'll mention is just for those people that might be interested in finding out other ways that they can partner and work and just be supported by WES. We also do policy and advocacy efforts. As I mentioned, the current legislation, but certainly if you go to the WES website and you look under Global Talent Bridge or the Imprint Coalition, you can see other ways that you can get involved in being able to support and amplify the contributions of this work.
Awesome. Debra, thank you so much for being here today. So I'm going to ask you one question I haven't asked anyone yet today, and you look like you're pretty creative and fun, so we're going to give this one to you. So if you were a mascot for AEFL week, what would that mascot look like?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I have to tell you, the first thing that comes to my mind would be an owl. I tend to think that an owl could be a pretty cool mascot because, they're often associated with wisdom and with knowledge. And I think there's just certainly a lot of wisdom that's shared as well as gained through adult education. So my vote would be for the owl.
I love it. Great answer. Great answer. Debra, thank you so much. World Education Services, give it to us one more. If we want more information on World Education Services, where do we go to?
Absolutely. If you want more information, go to wesforsam.org.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say we're a partner of COABE, so by all means, you can also find our information on the COABE website.
So I was going to end with that. Thank you guys for your partnership, for your friendship. We enjoy working with you. It's all fulfilling the mission of advancing adult education in our country, and we can't wait to what's next.